the weather outside is frightful. So, we're going to stay in today and talk about gametogenesis. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is the difference between alternation and generations that we looked at in moss and ferns and what we see in higher plants. So I'm just going to redraw the alternation of generations flowchart a little bit and show you how flowering plants work. Let me grab my chalk. So I've got the alternation of generations here, sporophyte or two-end tissue on the top of the chart like you've seen it before, and then the gametophytic tissue below the gametophytic stage, which is haploid. And so the difference is that in higher plants, in the sporophyte stage, the sporophyte produces a structure that's going to produce male spores and a structure that's going to produce female spores. We don't see this in mosses and ferns. We didn't get the male and female, the Antheridia and Archegonia, till down here in the gametophyte, remember? But in flowering plants, the sexes diverge in the sporophytic stage up here. And so we see the sporangia, I'm going to put that word down, sporangia, being male and female in higher plants. And the sporangia in the male is inside the anther. And in the female, it's inside the ovule. And so there are cells in the anther and the ovule that are called microspore mother cells in the case of inside the anther, and megaspore mother cells in the case of inside the ovule. And these micro and megaspore mother cells are the cells that undergo meiosis. The same portal for each side, it's just two different ones. One takes place inside the anther, the other inside the ovule. And so now we've created spores, male spores over here, and female spores over here. The male spores are going to be the sperm, and the female spores are going to be eventually produce the eggs. But before those are actually produced, there's a small gametophytic stage produced that has 3 cells that make up the pollen. And in the case of the female, it's 8 cells that are going to make up the egg sac inside the ovule. 2 of these 3 cells are going to be sperm. 2 sperm that are involved in double fertilization in angiosperms. And these 8 cells, well, we'll see those in a moment, but one of them is going to be the egg. So one of these 2 sperm are going to fuse with the egg to produce a zygote that's going to produce the new sporophyte. Okay, so what's the point? The point is I wanted to show you again what the alternation of generations looks like and show you how with flowering plants there's a difference. And that is that there's just not one type of sporangia like we saw in mosses and ferns. There are 2 different types of sporangia. One for the male side, which has the anthers, one for the female side, which are the ovules. Inside of those are mother cells that undergo meiosis to produce a 3-celled gametophyte in the case of males, and an 8-celled gametophyte in the case of females, an egg from the female gametophyte, and a sperm from the male fuse, so this is pretty much the same as in other plants, to form a zygote and on to go. So just a little bit of a twist. So in the next videos we'll take a look at this process, and which is production of microgametes, and we'll also see a video that talks about megagamete or megagametogenesis.